So we're gathered here in this digital room, Fredrik Mandt and Stuart McInnes. That's correct?
Yes,
Stuart?
close enough, Fredrik. That's fine.
CEO of XTRI. Everybody knows you.
I think there's a few people have seen me before, yes, but maybe they can learn something from me tonight.
Yeah, because tonight we're going to talk about X points.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Yeah, and you are the mastermind behind the X points, aren't you?
Well, I'm one of the minds behind X Points, yes. I wouldn't take all the credit for it. But I probably have the answers to the questions that you're about to ask, yes.
So if you're going to start, what is X points?
Well, in a nutshell, probably the best place to start is why did we create it? In a nutshell, all of our races are as good as each other. We would never claim that one is a better product than anything else. They're all incredible products, but we need to spread that message to the world, and we need to encourage people to go to these races and to fill them up and to realize that they're all excellent products. So initially, X Points was created to help fill up the races, but also to make it much more accessible to get to Norseman, Celtman, Swissman, and Icon, which are all balloted races. And we know there's some frustration with people who can't get into them and keep trying and keep trying. So the X Point system was designed to, with a little bit of effort on the athlete's part, to be able to make it much easier to get into these races.
So it means that you can earn X points in all races in the XTRI World Tour?
That's correct. You can earn X points, and they're participation points. So it's not based on your ability. You have to finish the race to earn them, of course, because we don't want to make it too easy. But it's not about your speed or your ability or your power or anything. It's purely participation points. It's a reward for coming and trying our races.
Is it for example, same amount of points if you get a blue T-shirt or a white T-shirt at Celtman, for instance?
Yes, absolutely. So any finisher, regardless of course, and of course some of our races have 2 courses, any finisher will get the same number of points. The number of points varies between races. Our more popular races reward you with less points than our less popular races, which is fairly straightforward logic.
And is it, you also mentioned that there are different points for the different races. Is it, how many points can you, for instance, earn for, is there any kind of, is it 50, 100, 150,
so it
200?
starts, the highest number is 200, which you would earn from our newest, smaller races. And that's, there's a few of those. There's Black Lake, there's Janosik in Slovakia, there's Swissman, there's all of the tables on the website. Then there's 150 for the well-established races and 100 for the balloted races. So the ones that are difficult to get into, they still reward you with points because we still want to reward you for participating in our races, but you do get less of a reward.
And now maybe over to the big question. Will there still be a ballot for races like Celtman, Swissman, Icon, Norseman?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. There will be. And in fact, the ballot is still a decent size because we've rearranged the way that we allocate wild cards and qualifications to make X points work properly. So there will be 100 spots for each race via X points, but the remainder of the spots, plus any people who don't go through X points. So if only 50 people apply for X points in Celtman, for example, that's an extra 50 slots for the ballot on top of what's there already. So there will still be a public ballot for anyone to enter, but that will still be difficult to get through. So the X points we've calculated is a much simpler and more, maybe the simpler is not the right word. It's you're more likely to get a spot via X points, but the ballot is still open for anybody to enter, no problem at all.
It's a more fair way to get the slot for the balloted races.
Correct. Yes. So you now have the option of doing that. Yeah.
And if you have, because there is also a ranking system here inside the X points, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, rankings, maybe not the right word. It's more of just a list, really, because it's not based on ability, as we said, but there is a list of people who have a number of points, and we display that on our website. So it lets you, we cannot say, as I'm sure one of your questions asks, how many points do you need to enter Norseman? Because the answer is we have no idea. But if you're in the top 100, then you're guaranteed a slot. because not everybody in the top 100 will enter the race. And even if they all do, if you're in the top 100, you'll get a slot. But you have to recognize that the points are for 4 races. So it's quite likely that if you're in the top 150 or even lower down the ranking, the number, then you could still get a slot in the race because you've no idea who's going to enter the race above you in the list.
So
so that's where it gets a little bit complicated for people to understand. But effectively, look at the list, and you need to decide for yourself if you think it's worthwhile to enter the race via points. There's no penalty for doing so, of course.
So it's a little bit like a casino. You have to.
Well, it's a little, yes, it's a little bit like that. Yes, yes. But hopefully a bit more transparent.
Yeah, it's a transparent casino.
Yeah, I don't know if they exist, but yes, that's what this is.
Okay, cool. And if you do not succeed by earning a slot via X points, can you still be part of the ballot?
So quite simply, let's make it simple. If you want to enter Norseman and you have points and you think you'll get in via points, you enter the point system. That's all done very quickly. So we will evaluate those. If you have enough points, we'll offer you a slot. If you don't have enough points, you'll be sent a disappointment email. Sorry, you didn't get a slot, but the ballot will be open at that point for you to enter the ballot as normal. So it all happens within the same window.
And what happens if, for instance, at Norseman, it's 100 slots available via X points, and what happens if there is a tie for slot number 100? So both athlete.
Absolutely, yeah. No, but this is something we've considered. So the number of points that we give and with the number of startup points that we gave, set to randomize the numbers as much as possible so that doesn't happen. But if we have a situation where 99 people have different points, and number 100 to number 103, for example, have the same points, then it's really at the race director's discretion if they let 103 people have a slot via points or 99. It could be that we do it by 99. It's really at the race director's discretion.
Okay.
Hopefully, there's not going to be too much of a tie at that point.
Is it for how long are the points valid for?
Well, we have 3 memberships available. So to have your points tracked, it doesn't just happen automatically. You have to join X Points. So you can have a free X Points account, which tracks your points from 2 years rolling. So after the race, if you have a free account, then they're hit with a time stamp that expires after 2 years. If you take the mid-level membership, then they expire after 3 years. And if you take the top level membership, then they don't expire. You have them forever. So you can keep on adding them up for as long as you like.
And if you let's say now Norseman is the kind of the nearest event, which is balloted, and if you decide to use your X points and get a slot there, and you are number 1 on the list, how is it calculated? How many points do you have to use for getting a slot?
The value of the race effective.
Yes.
Yeah, that's calculated based on the athlete number 100. So if you're athlete number 1 and you have 2,000 points, and athlete number 100 has 200 points, then you will only lose 200 points, as will everybody else in the list. So you'll retain your 1,800 points, which of course you can use for other races. I'm exaggerating the numbers, the likely numbers here, but that's effectively how it works.
Is there other ways to collect X points than taking part in the races?
Yes, you can collect points in other ways. Obviously, they're from XTRI World Tour products. So we have MyXTRI, which is what you might call a virtual challenge, although many people do it outside. So they're kind of what people started doing during Corona times when we were training indoors, all this kind of stuff. So we have a MyXTRI section, and you can earn points from doing our MyXTRI challenges. You can also earn points from going to our training camp, the XTRI Xperience in Mallorca. That has a limited number of places, but you do get 150 points for attending that.
And how about the allocation for women? Is it any kind of
yes,
does
it
the
is.
system take into consideration that we would also like to have a fair share of female participant in each race?
That's a very good point, and yes, it does. So when we open X points, we take the first 15 women before we take the 85 of both genders. So the first 15 women are filtered from the list of who enter, and then any other females go into the following list for the final 85. So there's a bias for women in that selection process. So if you're a female, you can actually filter our list on the website by gender, and then you can see where you are in the ranking quite clearly.
That's cool. Is it? How about wildcards and the qualifiers? Is it? Are they gone now, or?
They still exist. So every race in the XTRI World Tour has 4 qualifying spots for Norseman the following year, which is the XTRI World Championship. So the top 2 male, top 2 female qualify. And then we also have 1 wild card for each race. And that wild card is available for any finisher. So after the race, white t-shirt, black t-shirt, whatever t-shirt you get, if you finish the race, the organizer will pull a name out of a hat from the finishers, and you can also get a Norseman slot completely randomly.
So if you go,
which is a pretty cool thing. It creates a nice atmosphere at the race.
And also, if you go to a race like Black Lake or Swissman or Janosik, you get 200 X points, and you also get the chance to qualify
Yes,
if you are top
yeah.
2, male, female, and you also have the chance to get a wild card at the event.
Yeah. So if you go to one of these races that has a small field, and as I say, some of our newest race, which is in Corfu, and always our newer races take a while to catch up with numbers, there might be 30 or 40 athletes. So your odds are pretty good.
I don't think I have any more questions. Or
I mean, you're an expert already, Fredrik.
Should I have more questions?
Oh, I don't know.
Since you are the expert,
I think the couple, because we do, when you say frequently asked questions, often emails come in, and there's a few things that crop up regularly. One is I can't find myself on the list.
Okay.
This is very common, and then I can always find them on the list because they're always there. For some reason, the software that we use, which is actually a Google product, the search is case sensitive, and you cannot turn that off. There's no way we can get around that. So if you, in your profile when you sign up, if you don't use a capital F for Fredrik, then you must not use a capital F for Fredrik when you search for yourself, or you won't show up. You need to write it as you wrote it in the first place. So I sometimes have to help people spell their own names in order to find them on the list. The other question people ask is, with the startup points, now this is something we haven't talked about, but if you sign up for what we call Tribe Extreme, which is the top level membership, then we'll give you a starting balance, which consists of a level of points for every single XTRI product that you've been involved with since 2019, the tail end of 2019. So for some people, that's a significant number of points. And on the website, there's a description of how many points you get for each thing that you've done. Now, a question we get from people is, can I see where my points came from? Well, the answer is we can, yes, but we can't make that public for GDPR reasons. So if you really need to know, if you can't figure it out, then you can send us an email and we can give you that information, like a freedom of information request. However, it's a lot of work to do that, so don't send me 1,000 emails, please. But it's possible.
Is it other typical question that people ask about the X-point system?
Well, that's the most common. It's usually, okay, I can't find myself. I think the calculation's wrong, which it never is.
No.
or can I see my points? That's really the most common things. The other questions we get are already answered on the webpage or in the frequently asked questions. They just haven't read that before they send the email, which is of course normal nowadays. Read it.
Because you talked about different tiers, so different races, different points.
Yes.
Is this a dynamic system?
This is dynamic
tiers. Yes.
Yes,
so
they are. So we'll obviously present to people in the race year what they'll get from that race. But in the following race year, that may change. For example, if Slovakia next year had so many applicants that they needed to have a ballot, then obviously we would reduce the number of points. But we wouldn't do that until the following race year. So nobody would get a surprise. If they'd already entered thinking they get 200, then they'll get 200. If that makes sense.
So if you were an XTRI athlete, would like to enter one of the balloted races now, like Norseman, in October, what would you do?
Well, you've still got Black Lake and Yanosik, which are at the beginning of September, which both give 200 points. So they're both brilliant possibilities. If you want to have an adventure at short notice, then go and sign up for one of them. And you also have Greek Hero. Now, Greek Hero actually takes place after we do these ballots. But because of the way we've set the system up, what we're going to do for people who've entered Greek Hero and who enter Greek Hero is give them the points before the race. So you'll have them available to use to enter Norseman or Celtman. However, if you get a slot with those points and then you don't turn up to Greek Hero or you don't finish the race, we will have to remove the slot from you. But we're making it as fair as possible to give you the opportunity. Because I know some people may have signed up for Greek Hero to get points, not realizing that Norseman's entry is earlier this year than it has been before.
And if you decide to join one of these 3 races, which all give you 200 points, isn't that right?
They all give you 200, yeah.
And then you have a pretty fair chance of getting a slot in one of the balloted races.
You have an amazing chance, yeah. If you have the top 100, most people have 200 or more points in there. So if you can get 200 points, you're going to be hitting pretty close to lucky. If
That's
not on the button.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's quite interesting. If you attend either Black Lake or Janosik, earn 200 points, you have actually a pretty good chance of...
really good chance, yeah, because we seriously do not know how many people from the top 100 are going to enter any race. We just don't know. There may be 20 or 30 people in that top 100 who are waiting for the Celtman entries to open. So that means there's only 70 people above you. You know, it's a genius
system because it's fair. If you have to earn it, and if you kind of do a little bit of work here and also have fun at the same time, attend smaller races, which is really cool races. Then you earn points.
They're amazing. I think that's the point we were trying to say at the beginning. You know, all of these races are incredible. If you go there, you will have an experience of a lifetime. Without throwing cliches at you, it's true. Take my word for it.
You're the CEO of really cool experiences. Yeah,
well, I don't actually do the races. That's for athletes.
Cool. Thank you, Stuart.
Okay, good.
That was clarifying for me and hopefully for a few others as well.
I hope so. And we now are going to open a Facebook page, which is a kind of masterclass in X Points. So if there are any more questions that people have, then let's create a discussion. And then the answers are there for everybody else to see as well.
Perfect. Let's do it.